Go right ahead.
Okay, thanks. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the June 12th Facilities and Purchasing meeting of the Lower Merion School District. This meeting is being recorded. For community members who are joining us today, thank you for being here. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, and you can have a chance to ask your question after the board has had a chance to ask their questions. So for moving along for the meeting, the first item on the agenda is list of bills. Does anybody on the board have any questions for the list of bills?
No, thanks. I don't at this time.
Yeah. Jason, any questions from you? I'll take that as a no. He can come back later. Is there anybody in the community with a hand raised?
I do not have a hand raise.
Okay. Then are we good to move this forward then?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. The next is the purchasing report.
Thank you, Ms. Schaffmeister. Good morning. There are two items on this month's purchasing report, and the first item is related to tree pruning and removal that is being proposed at 1835 County Line Road. We have a presentation listed, but that is listed towards the end of today's agenda under the updates, but that gives a full explanation of all of the background and due diligence that was done. So, Ms. Schaffmeister, question to you from a procedural standpoint. Would you like me to just give a brief description here and then keep the presentation in its current position on the agenda, or kind of jump the presentation towards the front of the line for explanation purposes?
How long is the presentation? So if it's not too long, I was thinking let's just do it all in one shot.
I will try to keep it to 3 minutes, and if I don't, Ms.
Okay.
LaPera will keep me in line.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so if the technology side would be able to bring up the PowerPoint, that would have been listed as update item A as in Adam. Don't know if that's something that can be put on the screen by whomever's hosting. Sorry for the change of batting order.
All right, we just stop sharing for a second and she'll pull that presentation right up.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so as I stated, there was due diligence and some background as to why we're proposing some of the tree work that's listed in today's purchasing report. Next slide, please. And I'll give it, thank you very much. Okay, so just as an overview, we do have the property under agreement of sale. It's actually under agreement of sale with two different purchasers. The purchaser of the portion of the property that's going to include the mansion issued formal notice to the school district regarding some concerns about the trees. So this presentation is very quickly going to go through the evaluation and due diligence that the district performed, and then the recommended next steps, which have been incorporated into today's purchasing report. Next slide, please. So specifically, Wingcoat Foundation is the entity that I referred to that has the agreement of sale to purchase the smaller portion of that 13-acre property. They will be the future owner of the Oakwell Mansion. Back in March, the school district's legal counsel did receive formal notice from the Wingcoat Foundation legal counsel, basically stating the next bullet point, which is the fact that there were 5 trees that the future owner was concerned about with respect to the integrity of the mansion itself. I'm going to show pictures of all of these, but there was basically 2 evergreens near the garage, a sycamore limbs over the mansion roof, and then 2 oaks that had limbs overhanging the mansion roof. So if I go to the next slide, we have photos here. I'd like to start with these 2 trees, which was the first bullet item. These are 2 evergreens that, as you can see, are along the 2 corners of the garage of the mansion. For the next slide, you can see there's a total of 3 pictures. This is from the side. You can see one of the trees has roots and that are starting to make its way under the foundation of that garage structure. And on the next slide is pretty descriptive. You can see on the left-hand side, the tree on the left is actually leaning against that edge of the garage wall, the garage support. So if we go to the next slide. So the recommendation in this situation, based again about wanting to protect the integrity of the house and of the mansion and being responsive to the notice that was given, we would like to go out there this month and remove both of these trees to protect the garage structure. That was the one line item cost of $1,250. If I could go to the next slide. And if I'm moving too fast, please let me know. Moving around to the opposite side of the mansion, you can see a sycamore. This photo was taken back in March, so the tree is dormant at that time. Limbs are overhanging the roof. And the second photo in the next slide, if we could, will show a little better perspective of how the limbs are overhanging. And now this was a more recent picture, so the leaves are there. So moving to the next slide. Our recommendation here, and again, we'd like to do it this month in order to be responsive to the buyer's concerns, would be to prune, cable, and brace this particular sycamore. That would then be the second line item of $2,275 in that purchasing report item. Moving to the next slide. This is just basically a summary of what our short-term actions will be. We've spoken to multiple arborists, and everyone is in agreement that this is for the good of the mansion structure, and that the sycamore can be pruned and cabling added so it will not negatively impact the tree but protect the mansion. Moving to the next slide, we're going to start talking about 2 oak trees that are on that property. And as you can see from that photo, both of them are overhanging the roof, and that's pictures while the trees were dormant in March. The next slide, it will show that we have taken pictures more recently in May with the leaves on the tree. On the left, you can see that one of those trees has suffered some type of damage. The belief is it may have been a lightning strike. But again, we want to try to preserve both the trees and the integrity of the mansion with the recommendations. So next slide, please. We had multiple arborists, multiple people from the industry come out and take a look at the trees. Again, anything related to the 2 evergreens at the garage, anything related to that sycamore, everyone is unanimous. That's work we'd like to get done as soon as possible. We wanted to be as cautious and thoughtful as possible with the 2 oaks. So this is a landscape architect that does work for us. He's in agreement about taking out the evergreens and pruning the sycamore. He does have concerns about the 2 oaks, but again, we want to be sensitive to that. So the next slide would be another, well, this is actually a tree company that has a certified arborist from Shriner Tree Care, which is the company we're proposing to do the work. They also recommend that the trees at the garage should be taken out. The London plane tree, that's the sycamore. They also agree to have that pruned, and they would propose pruning the 2 white oaks in order to get those limbs away from the roof. The next slide is feedback that we received from Orsi Lazar, who's a township resident and is also a certified arborist. Again, same recommendation. However, with pruning the oaks, there's one thing with oak trees that we need to take into consideration, which is oak wilt. That's a disease spread by insects that would be potential exposure, could do potential harm to the oak trees if we were to cut those limbs now during the warmer months, certainly during the summer. So you'll see that we are planning to have the oak trees pruned in November, December after the tree goes dormant, and that oak wilt disease, the exposure is reduced for the good of the tree. Next slide would be another arborist, John Rockwell Hosbach. He actually recommends the oak tree with the lightning strike be removed, and also agrees that the oak tree that does not have the damage could be pruned and get the clearance necessary. Again, the evergreens be cut down, sycamore's pruned, everyone's unanimous with that. So going to the next slide, we considered this basically 4 different options. Leave everything as is. Again, that's potential condition that could affect the house. Pruned both of the oaks, but again, any pruning work would have to be later when the oak wilt disease is no longer a concern. We could remove the damaged oak now, prune the other one in December, or just take out both of these trees in June. What the district is proposing here basically is option 2. Prune both of the oaks, do it in after the weather gets colder and the tree goes dormant. Next slide. So really what the summary is, the first 2 items are short term. No one had any specific concerns about negative impact on the property as a whole from a landscape perspective or tree perspective. And then we would just have to sit tight and prune the oak trees in December when we don't have the exposure or the risk of the oak wilt that we would currently have now in June, July, August. And I believe the next slide is just a placeholder for any questions. If you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lill, and for everybody adapting so quickly for as we move this up in the agenda. Is there any questions from the board?
No, thank you.
Okay, is there any?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say thank you because I know this has been a sensitive topic with maintaining trees at Oakwell, and that I appreciate all the due diligence that went into exploring our different options. And the one that you're recommending sounds right to me as well.
Agree with Sheena on that. And
The
is
only
there?
thing, the only question I had or comment was that also as part of the tentative sale, it's our responsibility to maintain these trees, correct?
We're basically keeping that property in a mothball position. The reason why these particular trees were brought into question was specifically due to the notice issued by the buyer, and it also has to do with the integrity of the house. So that's why this has been brought up, is also to protect the house.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and with the garage too, I think that was looked at whether removal of those trees would affect the foundation too, and that was taken into consideration as well, I believe, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
My question was, or comment was, is my understanding is that because it hasn't.
Did we lose Jason?
I think he may have froze.
No, I was just saying that I just stopped. My understanding is that because the sale has not gone through, it is on the district's responsibility to maintain and to make these adjustments. That's why I just wanted to make sure that the community was aware of that.
Okay. Thanks, Jason. Okay, is there anybody with a hand raised?
I do not see any hand raised.
Okay, so do we want to move to the next item on the purchasing report then?
And Ms. Chessmeister, I believe Mr. Orlando can speak to the vehicle purchase as the second and final item.
Okay, thank you.
So these are 2 vehicles that we're replacing in the nutritional services department. We've been planning to replace these. The cargo van we currently have is from 2010. And we use that on a daily basis to transport food and supplies around to our 11 buildings for food service. We're requesting to replace that vehicle. And then the other one is the Ford Escape. We have a 2009 Ford Escape that's used by our director of nutritional services and the assistant director on a daily basis to go around to the different buildings as part of their functions in their duty. So we're proposing to replace both of these. Again, they're over 15 years old, and this will be paid out of nutritional services budget. These were bids that we did go out for, and Hondu Ford is the only one that responded to the bid. And we did this to be in compliance with the uniform grant provisions of the federal program, since we're part of the National School Lunch Program.
Thank you, Mr. Orlando. Can you explain a little bit more about for us in the community how these trucks are used by nutrition they're both by nutritional services?
So the cargo van, so we have food that's delivered to the various school buildings. Some don't have the capacity. So for example, Harrington has a very large refrigeration and freezer freezer that a lot of the food is stored there. Some other schools have very small due to the footprint. So there's food that is transported to the various buildings on an everyday basis, sometimes supplies also. And the Ford Escape is used by the director and the assistant director who are basically in various buildings every day. So they use that every day to go around to the various buildings, whether consulting with the managers or if there's an issue at the school. So they're used very frequently.
Thanks for that explanation. Appreciate it. Is there any questions by the board?
I had a question. So I'm thinking about how exactly to phrase this. Mr. Orlando, I know that nutritional services is sort of its own like special little snowflake in terms of how we budget for things because it's the one thing that needs to stay as financially neutral as we possibly can because we don't want to charge our students or anybody to eat as a single penny more than we have to pay for it. But does this come out of the nutritional services budget? Does this come out of what fund source does this come from?
So if you look at the purchase report, it does note its budget is nutritional services. So
Okay.
the way the accounting rules are, it's called, not to bore you, but it's an enterprise fund, which is a
No, I
separate
asked.
from the general operating fund. So it's a whole separate set of books. We plan accordingly for different purchases throughout the year. They do charge lunch prices on Monday night's board meeting. We're going to maintain the same prices current school year for the upcoming year. So we know there's no increase in the meal prices. So Mr. Hussein and his department did a very good job as far as, quality food, good price, doing a lot of purchasing buys to get the best we can to keep the prices down low. And again, I think it's the second or third year in a row we haven't increased the prices. So, but this vehicles, like I said, they're 15, 16 years old. They're on their last legs. They're getting.
Oh, no. I'm totally in agreement that they're necessary. I
Yeah,
was
but
just trying to understand. My background is so the opposite of accounting that I was trying to
it's a separate fund or the accounting rules. I mean, you go to an audit report, you can see
right.
all the separate financials and everything. So everything, the books are kept separately from the general fund, which the board is used to saying, the general operating fund for the school district, which will approve on Monday.
Okay. But this funding came from the general fund, so it came from the general pool of money, not from money we took from students for paying for their lunches.
No, so this fund here is two things. One, it's revenues from lunches that students pay. Also, it's National School Lunch Program. We get money for free and reduced. We get some money for breakfast through the federal government and through the state. So that becomes our revenue pool. And then we have our expenses. And then as part of our expenses, profit and loss, we have money that we're paying for various upgrades, vehicles, equipment. They maintain their own services, own department themselves. They're self-sufficient.
So it's kind of equivalent in the way we can think about it, sort of to like a stove or some sort of kitchen appliance that they would have in the school. It's an appliance that nutritional services needs to function the way that nutritional services functions.
Well, nutritional service, they buy different equipment, not so much you have in your home. It's more industrial, commercial.
Yes, of course. That's just I'm trying to categorize it in a way that I understand it. And so it's budgeted for in the same kind of way.
Correct. And they're fund with their revenues, their expenses. Correct. We do all that separate.
Okay. And I really appreciate you explaining that for someone whose background is not in accounting. And I just want to shout out nutritional services because they have always done a great job. But ever since COVID, when they were feeding our kids, when nobody was in buildings or anything, there has always been an immense amount of effort and care for our kids. So I just wanted to shout out those folks in our district because they're doing good work.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Shayna. Thanks. Any Kimberly or Jason, do you have any questions?
Thanks, Mel, but nope, we've kind of covered this before, so thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, same here. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Schaffmeister, I just have a quick comment since we went pretty deep into food service a little bit for the past, few minutes. We just finalized the details of our summer meals program. So I would like to ask Amy Buckman to just explain those details because she just finalized them and sent out a flyer just so the public knows what direction we were headed. So Amy, if you don't mind.
Sure. I mean, all credit to Mr. Hussein and Ms. Stokes. They worked really hard the past couple of months to find a location within certain federal guidelines of physical locations where the district could provide an open meal site, which means any person under age 18 can show up and receive free breakfast and lunch this summer. The caveat is that those meals have to be eaten on site. But the location that we'll be working with in partnership with the Narberth Community Food Bank is Holy Trinity Lutheran Church at 196 Woodbine Avenue in Narberth. Mondays through Thursdays, starting June 30th, all the way through August 7th. Our nutritional services department will be offering breakfast to be eaten on site between 9 and 10 a.m. and lunch to be eaten on site between 11:30 and 12:30. And so there's no pre-registration. The meals meet all the nutritional guidance, and kids basically can just show up and eat their meals for free at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church, whom we're also really grateful for providing the location to.
Thank you, Amy. That's a great service to be offering the community.
Amy,
And
just a quick question. How many people normally take advantage of this great resource that you guys have put together? Thank you.
So I don't think that the nutritional services can really predict that at this time because this is the first time that we'll be offering this service at this site. Last summer, the nutritional services team worked together with Neighbors Helping Neighbors on the main line and provided free meals to kids that were going to the sort of camp/daycare that Ms. Walker and her team were providing. I'm sure they have the exact numbers, but I feel like there were about a dozen kids every day at that location, but that was like only for those kids. This is an open location, so it'll take the first couple weeks or so probably to see who shows up to get a measure on how many people we can expect. But the good news is like there's public transportation up and down Montgomery Avenue. It's a short walk to the church from there, and it's within one of these federally designated areas, geographical areas where we can offer an open site.
Excellent. Thank you.
thank
Amy,
you.
I'm sorry, I have one question. You had mentioned that people must eat on site, so that means they cannot pick up the meal and leave. They must sit there and eat it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's part of the from the federal government, the parameters for a site like this. The meals have to be eaten on site.
Okay, thank you.
It's not grab and go.
Thank you.
Is there any type of residency compliance needed for that under the federal rules or anything?
No, an open site is literally that. So, if it's, family where maybe a parent is working nearby, but they don't live in our area, but they're bringing their kid with them, or it is completely an open site.
Okay, that's really a nice service to be providing this summer. Appreciate your hard work, the hard work that went into this. Do we have any questions from the community on this?
I do not see any raised hands.
Okay, thank you. So if there's no more questions, then are we good to move the purchasing report forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next item, district contracts. Now, I think we got quite a long list today, if I remember correctly. Yes. Is Ms. Fraser, Kimberly Fraser here today, or
Yes,
is?
I'm here. Hello,
Great.
good morning.
Good morning. You got a lot to go through. Oh, no, actually, you don't have that
No.
much. It's the other one.
No, I'm not so bad. I have 4 for student services. They are all renewal contracts. Let me go in the order you have them here, if I can actually see that. So Criticare, again, as this is a renewal contract, Criticare is the other agency that we use to help support with additional nursing needs within our department. Last month, we brought forward GHR. Criticare is the other agency we use. We predominantly use GHR, but we have the contract with Criticare in case GHR can't fulfill the needs that we have. It's a slight increase, $3 an hour for each support type. And it really is based on, that increase is based on market demand. And again, this is used for additional support when we can't fill the needs within. So we are always short-staffed within our health services department. So we don't have our full allotment that we need. So sometimes we have to have coverages within our schools, after school activities, off-site experiences that might need some coverage. So that is the health services one. The next two, Achieve 3000 and IXL, are instructional resources for our special education department. Achieve 3000, again, is a renewal. There's only a slight increase in this one from last year. It was like $19,000 to the $20,707 this year. We utilize this particular instructional resource in grades 5 to 12. It is an online instructional resource that is responsive to a student's reading level. So when a student first uses it, assesses reading level, and then it provides nonfiction text at that student's reading level. So we use it as an instructional tool for literacy instruction purposes. IXL is a larger scope. IXL is actually an instructional tool for K to 12, utilized in special education for K to 12. It serves as a supplemental resource for our students that supports with content. So if you're in your science class and you're working on a particular content area, we can provide supplemental instruction and resources through IXL. So that's how our special education teachers are doing it. Actually, around 42% of our special education students have a license and use IXL as part of their programming. And then Leader is also a long-time renewal service. Leader provides our IEP writing software. So this is where we do our child count information, IEPs, GIEPs, our evaluation reports are all utilized within that. This is actually a slight decrease this year. It's based on our projected use of it. So it's down $2,000 this year. And those are my four.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any questions from the board?
Question on IXL. So I know, Kimberly, that we have all of our middle school students use IXL in their math class. If we have students with IEPs that are in middle school, are they then getting two IXL licenses? Are we paying double for them? Or is there some way that we know who has one and who needs extra, so we're not paying
because
twice?
it is different. The way they package it is if you are a student that needs more than one content area. So if you need math and ELA, if you need math and science, then you're covered under student services because it's a different package because they need more supports. So our teams do.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yep, that's the difference between like the general education resource and the one that we need to utilize for special education.
So if you had a student that was in middle school and had an IXL for, sorry, my computer's trying to restart itself, had IXL through their general ed math class, but also was receiving IEP services for math, they would have two IXL licenses?
They would only have one license. It just looks different in terms of what they can access, right? You may be a student with an IEP that only needs it, doesn't actually need it through your IEP, and you're just using it in math through general education. Or you may be a student with an IEP who does need it for instruction through special education, and then you would have the enhanced access, right, depending on the number of subject areas that you need.
So despite that we have two different licensing sources for the same program umbrella, we do make sure that we're not double licensing anybody.
Yep.
Okay, great, fantastic. That's all I was curious.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? Yep. Okay, moving.
Hi, I actually have a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna call on the community. Kara, go ahead.
Sorry. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Kara.
I just had a quick question about the $2,000 number, the less cost and what that's attributed to, please.
Yeah, so when we look at the upcoming contract with Leader, it's the figure is based on use, right? And so what we're projecting is a slight decrease in use, just in terms of, like, again, it's like evaluations you complete, about actual IEPs, GIEPs, and documents within there. So it's just like a minor decrease based on what we say happening with use.
So that's less teachers using it or less student need?
No. It's less, it's not about staff usage, right? It's about students and like how many students we utilize it for. So we're just anticipating that it might be a little less. And to be honest, it's really a projection. So part of that differential might also be maybe we over projected at one point and we're just kind of balancing out. It's really a projection based on what we think we'll need. But again, we can't always predict how many evaluations we're going to do, how many new students we'll have that then get entered into the system, or how many students withdraw. So we estimate the best we can based on the numbers that we have.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to hear from you, Kara.
Thanks. You too.
All right, I'll jump in if you're okay with that. Ms. Schaffmeister, you're on mute.
Thank you. Apparently,
Yes.
Are you ready to jump in for the next batch?
I am, and I have a bunch, so I'm going to try and work efficiently. Ms. Kalish, it's astute of you to notice that. Ms. Frazier and I worked together on the IXL contract to make sure there wasn't doubling up of services. And so impressed that you caught that, and we did work carefully to make sure that we were efficient in the way we were spending resources. I will try to work efficiently through here. All of these are renewals except the Latin text and a consultant, which I will cover soon. And all of these include tech resources except for the consultant. The first one is our Latin text, the Hands Up Education. That was presented at CCOB. We used this Latin text in Latin 1 and 2. We're extending that now to Latin 3. Next is Edmentum, which is we call Study Island, which is a data-driven standards mastery solution. They have K-12 resources. Our district uses it in grades 3 to 6, 3 and 4 for benchmarking, and grades 5 and 6 for other formative assessments that teachers use to track progress. The next resource is Macklin Via. It's a K-12 resource. We use it K-12. It's a resource that offers students a centralized platform where they're able to access ebooks, audiobooks, and videos to support academic reading in the classroom and personal reading for pleasure. Through this resource, students are given greater access to a rich variety of texts, including collections of texts created by teachers and librarians that target texts that are actually relevant to the curricular experiences for students. Additionally, the resource provides students with access to audiobooks that promote accessibility of text. This is a need in our district and classrooms to support an inclusive and engaging learning environment for all students to read, think, and participate in text-based discussion. Next is Worldbook. I presented that earlier this year. It's a renewal. We don't use encyclopedias in school, so the district previously had 3 encyclopedia resources. Worldbook is now the only digital encyclopedia that remains in LMSD. This is accessible for all students in the district. Therefore, this resource naturally prepares students for more challenging databases like ProQuest and Gale. ProQuest I'm about to explain in a moment because that's up for renewal. Lastly, in the age of disinformation and misinformation, Worldbook builds foundational informational literacy skills and prepares students for making meaning in the world. It's a crucial skill set to develop prior to encouraging open internet searches. So this is available for K-12 in our district. Another resource for Edmentum, or this study island, is to prepare students for PSSA reading tests and additional practice for skill or strategies taught in language arts. So we use that in 3 to 4 specifically in this area. The next resource is our chem resource called Active Chemistry. It supports an approach that fosters student engagement, both learning during and after class. It's in person and online. It has active learning, homework assignments, secure online quizzes and exams, heavily used by our chemistry teachers in both high schools. Studies Weekly is for grades 3 and 4. This is a supplemental resource for teaching social studies standards. It's easy to use newspaper style periodicals and online learning platform, makes learning fun. It's differentiated for multiple access points to learning. It supports ELA for use in the literacy block. It's organized through themes and integrates with our Google Classroom. The next is Fun Hub, and this is an online extension of the Foundations program that we have. So it's a supplemental resource that's online for Foundations, which is the primary resource. Capstone Pebble Go is next, and that is used in grades K to 8 predominantly. Pebble Go is a powerful tool in our elementary schools where students are provided with an accessible and standards-aligned program that supports inquiry-based learning and introduces students to key components of independent research. It introduces students to introductory research skills, including developing the skill set of critical reading and note-taking to understanding new topics. Turnitin.com we've used for years. It's Turnitin Originality and Feedback Student is a program historically used in our high schools. However, this program will become a fuller part of the student's middle school experience. It's tools that used by the district to support student growth as writers while developing an awareness of the importance of academic integrity. This includes teaching students how to develop citation skills and also detect plagiarism, which is becoming more and more important. It is also a tool to detect the use of AI in constructing written assignments. This is the consultant I referenced earlier, which is Brooke Workman. And Brooke has been in our district for 2 years now and has been invaluable to our teachers. She supported the vision work and the implementation of structured literacy in the science of reading in our district. She's created modules for teacher training, which are now accessible on our teaching and learning site, in-person tailored coaching and modeling through grade level PLCs, individual classroom visits, and district-wide PD throughout the year. We use Brooke. Teacher training for the Ready to Rise summer program, which is the extension of Foundations through the summer. She revisits and reteaches sessions on request with Zoom support sessions and office hours she provides us throughout the year. She does Just Words training for all literacy specialists K to 8. She works in partnership with our K to 12 literacy supervisors for targeted and ongoing professional learning and coaching of teachers, literacy specialists, and administrators. And lastly, the last resource I will share with you is ProQuest. And it's the most well-respected, one of the most well-respected research database that provides students with the opportunity to explore a variety of content, academic journals, newspapers, ebooks, primary sources, and multimedia content to gain better understanding of content-specific concepts across academic disciplines, which include science, history, literature, and social studies. Additionally, ProQuest offers students initial experiences to locate, evaluate, and the use of reliable resources through academic research experiences. And thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
I had one.
Yeah, go ahead.
About the Mac and Via program. Well, that was the one where the kids could check out audiobooks and ebooks, yeah?
Yes, all students have access through that K to 12 all throughout the year.
I was interested when you said that kids could read for pleasure because I think that's really important. As like a huge reader myself, like I think that creating an environment where kids can actually read the stuff they want in addition to the stuff that we require them to. And I was curious how the students got that access. Like, do they need to use district computers or iPads? Can they do they set it up on personal devices? Does it work over the summer?
I believe it's through ClassLink. We do collect our resources over the summer, our tech resources, to replenish them. I don't know how they get access over the summer or not. I can find that out.
I would love to hear about that for my very own little library kids. But it sounds like a great thing. And I know if our librarians think it's a good tool, then we have exceptional librarians in this district. So That's what I got.
Thank you. No follow up with you.
Any other board questions?
I do have one question. I was curious, how is our school currently integrating AI into the curriculum, into the instruction, because that is a part of career readiness. So I'm just curious how are we managing that?
I love the question, and I agree. It's something that we are going to have to
Feel free
develop.
to ask anything that's on your mind.
Nope. So as you're following in policy, we're working on district policy. There's so many elements to AI, including as students go forth to serve, how we prepare them. We have instructional tech specialists at all levels that have been putting together I don't want to call it a curriculum, training for teachers, for students through advisory lessons, really thoughtfully, the ethical use of AI. It's something that we're really interested in developing. And we've done multiple teacher workshops. We've done parent HSA workshops. We've done, like I said, student advisory lessons, and administrators have had about 3 sessions of AI PD, and we have one coming up at the end of June. So something we're working with and will probably continue to work with as AI evolves and is found in more and more places. So we're very mindful of that. I think when ChatGPT came out in November 30th, 2022, we're all kind of caught off guard with how disruptive this technology can be and will be in our society and certainly our schools. But it's something that I think relatively we are spending a lot of time on and doing the best job we can preparing students and our staff in the multiple ways this is going to intersect with the education experience, including your specific question, students going forth to serve and how they'll need this in the workforce. So it's something we're mindful of and developing along the way as districts are scrambling to do the same.
Okay.
God, if I could jump in and add one quick thing. I'm sorry, Kimberly. What Scott referenced at the beginning of his explanation was, if you follow in the policy committee, we're working it through there as well, creating a policy that will give us the jumping point so we can really work on the administrative regulation going forward over the summer and beyond. So we are on top of it as well, but as Scott said, it's ever changing, and we really need to try to stay ahead of the game.
And Kim, we're
Yes,
also been in discussions
I'm
about.
sorry. I wanted to just say one more thing. I'm sorry. And thank you for that explanation. And that just brings up another question for me that's it's slightly off topic, but I think we really need to rigorously prepare students both for career and college. And right now we're not doing things like making sure every child knows how to interview, having mock interviews, knowing how to put together their resume, knowing how to present themselves digitally in a professional way. I mean, there's some people doing it on their own, but I think that needs to be a comprehensive, there needs to be a comprehensive approach district-wide so students are really prepared, because right now the majority are not.
Yeah, it's a really good point, and it's one of the reasons we went to, when you look at our middle school electives, to that communications program, because we know how important it's going to be to present yourself to the world in various ways. And so it's something we're mindful of. You do reference, I know we spoke previously about different pockets are doing assignments to do that, but it's something we're mindful of, certainly through our humanities program of presenting ourselves, and particularly adding the communications course to the middle school and getting people thinking about that at an earlier age.
Yes, that's wonderful. But I do think we really need to get on for high school students so that they are prepared. I mean, right down to, dressing for success. We don't have a policy, but, I think that's another thing we might consider, because, some of there's no dress code, and you cannot go into professional environments with some of the outfits that I see people currently, wearing, even in a school environment. And it might be helpful to some of those students to know that, no, you can't just walk into someone else's professional business with your short shorts on.
All good points. And I would say the other area where would be would be captured a little bit is in our senior projects. As we prepare students for senior projects, we talk about like that. The whole point of that is integrating yourself into the world beyond our schools as students are literally about to graduate. So that it's covered there a little bit as students
Okay.
start having experiences outside of our schools.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kim, I was just going to mention that Scott and Sarah and I have been talking about upcoming CCOB meeting agendas, and Scott had hoped to get a presentation on AI this year, but as other things took immediate precedence, that presentation got bumped. But I think it is on the agenda for early fall to hear about that stuff. So it is definitely in the pipeline and being thought of proactively. Scott came to us with that.
Yeah, we actually in policy meeting had I think it was in April, they made a presentation to us, which was really great. Well thought out, I thought. With all the work of the people that people are doing to help support the teachers with the use of AI in the classroom.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Jason, did you have any questions?
No questions from here. Thank you.
Okay, well then I have a few questions. Kind of goes back to the AI. I wondered with Turnitin, are they properly adapting to AI so that we're not getting an overly abundant amount of kids being flagged as for academic misconduct or anything like that?
They are, and I think all of these companies are adjusting, realizing that it's upon us, including Turnitin. One of the things that we'll work through policy and our ARs event when we compose them with a committee of people will be to how to navigate those things in the academic world, getting flagged for AI and the percentages and what's a violation of academic integrity or not. We want to do thoughtfully through our administrative regulations and their conversations we're having internally.
Yeah, because I'm just concerned that we're going to be wasting a lot of time spinning our wheels when things are being flagged and the word is escaping me, but that they're stealing languages for someone else, because with so many people putting that language into AI type of models, it's going to increase the amount of things that are there that could be shown as somebody has copied something else when they actually haven't. It's just that it's gotten so much broader that more things are being flagged.
Yeah, I don't think anybody goes into education to have those disputes about academic integrity or not. So we want to do this really thoughtfully. And sometimes when things get flagged that might be a wrong flag, it may be a voice that doesn't feel as authentic as a student. So sometimes you can approach that many different ways, which we want to be thoughtful about.
Yeah, and we did have a conversation about that in policy, which I appreciated too, what they're talking about. Okay, and then I was for Brooke Workman. We are tracking everything to make sure that I would like to see that we have some outcomes to show to support that we're seeing an increase in the reading from the students.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, her biggest value add has been transitioning literacy programs has been a big undertaking. Dr. Dory Martin-Patone has led that work. Mm-hmm. And just seeing how teachers respond to Brooke Workman, she's been everywhere and has been to all of our buildings, shows up on our PD days, and they're absolutely tracking. But the biggest value add she's giving is giving the teachers confidence to administer the Foundation's literacy program. And we've seen great results with their ability to expand their capacity to teach independently when she's not there.
Okay, great. That sounds great. And then the last question I had was on ProQuest. Now we have another program. I think it's called Newsella, which is also pulling out newspaper stuff. How do these work separate? Is there any overlap there, or is it they serve different purposes?
We dropped Newsella, so we haven't renewed.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah, we did not have this past year. It is in looking at resources and trying to find overlap. Newsella was the one that that was selected as not as necessary. So ProQuest we use, Newsela has been discontinued. So we didn't have it this year. We're not asking for it next year.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Because I know I had seen that in the past. Okay, but those are all my questions. And thank you. Is that the last of the report or is there anything more? Because I didn't know if there was more to scroll
Melanie,
down.
I had one additional question. Sorry.
Okay.
Just about the Brooke, the consulting. Is there a plan? I know that she's been working for quite some time with you, and the team. Is there a plan to move that more in-house so that she would potentially be training our supervisors and then them roll it out as opposed to using her as a consultant indefinitely?
There's a plan. We don't intend to have a consultant that works with us year after year. But as I referenced, changing literacy programs for an entire school district for primary grades is a tremendous undertaking and requires a lot of support. So it is going really well by all metrics, including the way kids are performing. But as I spoke specifically, Brooke has been building our capacity to reach more teachers. And Dr. Martin Picone has been working pretty closely with her. And the plan would be to not continue year after year, but in these early stages, which we still are in changing literacy programs, she's been invaluable.
Got it. So it'd be something that, and as things change, she would be consulted as a resource and could reach out to us if programming changes or if we need upgrades. But after a period of time, we would try to keep some of it in-house.
Yeah, and that is happening also. I mean, our supervisor is also an expert and is working daily and going around to different buildings. But in terms of the higher level PD of implementing a new program with an expert in that area, we've used Brooke. And that's similar to what we do in other areas. We're doing that right now with PA Steel standards. As we're implementing a whole new program, we're hiring a specialist that makes sure we're on the right track with our professional development and guides us. And then we will not continue to use a consultant in that area. But I would say one of the biggest changes you can make is an elementary literacy program. So to see her continuing in a year would be typical.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Well, just the brought question to my mind. Foundation is one of our newer programs too. What did we bring it in about 3 or 4 years ago, if I'm remembering it correctly?
I believe we're on year 3 of Foundations.
Year three. Yeah. So, okay. So as we are, we're still adapting to, or hopefully, and so she's supporting us through that transition.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Is
you.
there any community comments or questions?
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
I
Kara,
do.
made
I'm sorry.
Kara.
Oh,
Thank you.
Kara, can you just also say where you live within the
Of
district?
course, I apologize. Kara Herman, Bala Kinwood, and I am president of the Committee for Special Education. Just a gentle reminder when we're having a conversation about AI, that our special education community is always looking for a district to kind of include the topic of AI with use of special education as a subset, that just knowing that the district is examining when you're examining the AI topic as a whole. And I also just wanted to note and inform that the CSC is looking, we're doing some research now in order to do a parent education series session next year regarding AI specifically for special education purposes. So that's something that we've heard feedback from our special education stakeholders in wanting more information on. So I just wanted to kind of put a bug in your ear, guys, about that. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And Ms. Herman, if you reach out to me, I can connect you to the district tech coaches that I referenced. And so you can have some support with that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Kara. That's an important part of AI that we need to consider. Agreed.
I believe that's it.
That's it. Okay. So are we good to move the district contracts forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. Moving to Heinz Rowing.
Good morning, everybody. So this is a renewal contract for our crew program. It's an all-year rental at the Heinz Rowing facility. The cost of the contract is $45,000, $890. It is a 4.6% increase from last year. A lot of that is related to just ongoing maintenance costs. They had some flooding issues down there this past year, so that's why we're seeing that increase in cost.
Thank you, Mr. Stroop. Is there any questions from the board?
Is this for both high schools crew teams?
This is for Lower Merion, both boys and girls.
And where is Harridan housed? Do they have...
Harrison's the next motion.
Oh, jumping the gun. Sorry.
Would you like to go, given that we have two in a row, would you like to move on to the next one?
That's Mr. Albert. I think he's here.
Okay.
So we got an agreement from Crescent Boat Club, which is located on Kelly Drive along Boathouse Row. As many of you probably aware, Harridan's been kind of up in the air back and forth as to what our location would be. We've been on Washington Street in Conshohocken for quite some time. Villanova's doing some construction there, so we need to find a new place. We've spent the last year or two trying to find a place. Crescent Boathouse has finally been pretty much the sole offering for us at this point. It is a 3-year contract. It is still up for solicitor's review. Just received this late last week, so it comes out to $40,000, which honestly has been the cheapest that I have found of what's been available.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
I'm sorry, Mr. Stroop. I'm looking through your contract and I can't find the price on it. What do we pay fines?
It's $45,890.
Okay, so then what Harridan was able to swing is even better. Okay. Yeah, great. Okay, I'm really glad that you were able to find a home for Harridan. I know that's been a real service for the crew team over there for the last couple of years. So that looks great to me.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
No questions.
Okay. Then thank you. And I guess, is there any community comments?
I do not see any.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more. And is this fully paid by the district or is it shared with like the booster team? Because I know in the past certain teams have paid different percentages for different things.
Currently, this is paid by the district.
Okay, great.
Okay, thanks. And yeah, again, congratulations on finding space for Harridan. That was, I know we were all keeping our eyes and ears open. And glad something worked out. So are we good to move this forward? Are both of these forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So then that means we go on to the Rothman Orthopedics Agreement, which is.
So the Rothman, this is for athletic trainer services. Our contract with Rothman, this is the final year. We did an RFP a few months ago. We had 2 responses, and Rothman came in with the lowest price and providing the same services they currently provide to the district. So we requested to move forward with Rothman for another 3-year contract with them. It is subject to an annual termination, if we so speak, to do that. But very honest, but there are very few companies that are offering these services to school districts.
Thank you. And this, if remind me, this is a we're required to have these services to support our teams.
Oh, we need to have to support the teams in case students get injured. Yes.
Yeah. Any questions from the board?
No, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Okay. And any questions from the district or in the community?
I do not see any.
Okay, thank you. We're good to move this forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
you.
Thank you. Then we're moving on to student transportation contracts.
It was my understanding that Mr. Vilsons was connected. I'm looking at the participants, and he
Mhm.
may have had to leave the Zoom, so I apologize for the delay there.
No
So
problem.
I will do my best to try to speak to this transportation related item.
Mhm.
So this is an annual item. These could be considered as renewals, and the
Tim,
transportation
sorry,
department.
I just had a technical difficulty. If you can hear me now.
Thank you. You've saved me. All this, please take it away.
Good morning. Sorry about that. Sorry to add to the contract overload that we're going through today. I have a transportation contract that we renew every year. We only go out 1 year with these contractors. 4 of the contractors, actually 5 of the contractors do our special needs, homeless, foster care students. The rest of them, those would be Atlas, Balgo, Sarah Car Care, First Out, and this year we added a new contractor, Ever Driven. Rest of the vendors are either coach buses or school bus companies or both. Some of them, like Kraft, can provide both types of vehicles. We use them for sports, and their pricing is mostly negotiated. Like when we give them we give them trip specifics. They give us a price back. We usually give it to a couple contractors and then see which is the best price. Where the the biggest part of the expense is the daily Atlas, Balgo, Sarah Car Care. Atlas kept their prices same, 0% increase. So does Sarah Car Care. First Out kept it 0%, but they added $2.50 camera fee if we need a camera on the vehicle that they provide. And Balgo went up about 5%.
Okay, thank you for that explanation, and no problem on the technical we've all been there. Do we have any questions from the board?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the community?
I do not see any.
Okay, thank you. Are we good to move this forward then?
Yes.
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 Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vilsons.
Thank you.
So next is, it's your back up again. Sorry.
I'm still here. This is Samsara is our GPS software provider. GPS is probably out of all the technology we have on the buses is the most important one. If I would have to give up and keep one, that would be the one that I would definitely keep. It allows to see us where the bus is, what route is taken. We can see if the bus was on time at the stop. In addition, this provider also has a connection into our diagnostics port on our vehicles, on our buses. So when driver gets a check engine light, they can radio in, mechanic goes in an app and checks the codes, and they can tell the driver, you're safe to drive, just come in after you finish your run, or if you need to take a bus off the line and put a substitute bus in place. So it has that function that is usually not as much associated with GPS. It's a 10% increase to what we pay before, but it's with a 5-year contract, we kind of keeping the price for 5 years the same.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, I'm not hearing from Shana either.
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay, I have one question. Does the GPS hook, does TransFinder use the GPS at all, or does it hook into that, or is that would be a separate?
Oh yes, it's hooked into that. It's also crucial for we gonna be implementing new bus app called Stop Finder that's gonna replace our bus status app. So this will be more GPS based, and parents will be able to draw their geo zone around their house, and then I would know when the bus enters that zone. We're going to be deploying it already for summer transportation, kind of in a test stage, and then in September. That that's TransFinder product, and that integrates GPS. Also, we can do route overlays. We can take the route where it's routed, and then we can see how driver does that route. We can overlay it and see if it's maybe driver does it better than it was routed, or maybe driver goes longer, so we can ask them to go the route it was routed originally.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Because that actually is a module that I was, when you first put it in, I was hoping you would get that one. So I'm glad to hear that's being added on. I'm hoping that will help make it more efficient for aside, parents will be able to see when the bus is coming, almost like when your food's being delivered. So thank you so much for that presentation. So are we good to move this forward? Or you're not up again, I guess.
No, I'm not. Thank you.
Thanks. Are we good to move this one forward?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you for your support.
The next item is Delta Dental.
Mhm.
Delta Dental is our insurance carrier, dental insurance carrier that we use. We were able to, through CPAS, which is our healthcare consortium that we're in, through Willis Watson Towers, be able to secure a lower administrative fee. So currently right now, we pay $4.19 per employee per month administration fee. We were able to secure a lower rate at $2.30 per employee per month. So that will save the district about $30,000 each year for the next 5 years. And that term administrative fee is locked in for the next 5 years. So we're pressed to move forward with it. The program's the same. There's no difference to an employee or anything else. It's just we were able to reduce the administration fee pretty substantially.
That's really good news. Any questions from, thank you for working so hard to get that. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, but this is just a curiosity question. Even with that reduction, what do we pay in total for the administration fee? What's the total that we pay?
I don't have the total. And if Eric's there, he may have the fee. I don't have the top of my head what we pay for the year, to be honest with you. We're a self-insured plan, so obviously depending upon the claims from that standpoint, I don't have the administrative fee in total. I don't know if Eric is on the line, if he has any information.
Yeah. I'm just doing a quick estimate. I don't have the exact head count on the top of my head, but it's about $75,000 currently.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Significant reduction.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, community questions?
I do not see.
Okay. Then in that case, are we okay to move this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we're moving along. Brian Purnell agreement?
Hi, so the next two are mine. Byron is our freelance photographer, whom we use for night and weekend events. We've been extremely satisfied with his photos. If you see some of the moments he captured at the two past graduations last week, he's amazing, and he's been with us several years and really has gotten to know the schools, and he does a great job. This is at the same rate as last year. There's no increase, so this is a renewal for 1 more year. It's a not to exceed contract, so it may not go up to that amount. He's paid on an hourly basis for when we use him.
Thank you. Any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Okay. And looking down, I'm not seeing anything from community. So we're good to move this one forward, and then
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, so, okay, Amy, take it away for the next one.
The next one, so Thought Exchange, we brought into the district last year under our prior superintendent to replace Hanover Research. We had been using prior to provide research, survey tool, and analysis. The advantage with Thought Exchange offered numerous advantages, including the fact that its surveys are all completely translatable, so people can take them in the language that they are most comfortable. And they have recently added a number of AI tools that enable us to do pretty much our own survey analysis almost instantaneously. We used this year to get some data to compare to a survey we had done the prior year using SurveyMonkey on the sleep and start time issue. We had some issues bringing in the SurveyMonkey into Thought Exchange, but we were able to work through that. They were extremely supportive in that process, and we were able to get some initial comparison data over that baseline data. I anticipate that in the upcoming year, I know we're going to be using it to work with the architects that are doing the playground planning to get some community response on that. And I anticipate using them as well as Dr. Rinaldi plans to move ahead with a strategic plan update in the next year. So last year, because it was our initial year, they had given us a $10,000 introductory discount. This year is slightly more expensive than last year, under 10% more. But again, it's 10% more than what had been heavily discounted last year. So it's still, we're paying less for this than we had paid for Hanover prior, and less than what their sort of general rate for a year is.
Okay. Thanks, Amy. Any questions?
No, thanks. Thank you.
I was interested that I think that's a big time saver for having that AI tool be able to do analysis of the survey results.
I mean, as you will recall, or some people may recall, we used to have a whole position in the district, a full-time person who sort of did this kind of work for us. And I am not a statistician by any means, but I am able to go in and it pulls major themes for you. You can put in, filters, and it'll compare. If we wanted to look at like middle school sleep patterns versus high school sleep patterns, you can do all that, and you don't have to be, have a doctorate in research analysis.
And this includes both types of surveys, where you just like the ones where you just select a thing versus ones that are open-ended questions.
It can do all different kinds of surveys. It also does, you can use it live, and we did it in a couple of our care meetings this year to help us prioritize what the care committee wanted to focus on in upcoming meetings. So you can ask an open-ended question. People answer it live after scanning a QR code, and then people can rate other people's thoughts. So like if we were to use it for the playgrounds, for example, and some people said, accessibility is my top priority, and other people said having slides is my top priority, and other people said having swings is my top priority, then you can see everyone's answer and go in and say, oh, well, I'm for slides too, and I'm for swings too, and but I'm not so much on accessibility, or vice versa. And then you can actually watch live as ideas rise to the top. And so it's a really good way of gathering large group feedback without people necessarily having to stand up and say something, because we know some people are reluctant to do that. So it has a lot of different tools and uses.
Oh, that sounds great. I appreciate your explanation. So if there's and let's see if there's is there any questions from the community showing?
Chairman, I believe, has a question.
I just wanted to say, sorry, Kara Herman Bala-Kinwood from CSE. I was one of the parents who was able to sample the Thought Exchange software in the care meeting, and it is really, really interesting and really fascinating. And just one thing I wanted to clarify on Amy's point was that it does offer all this, your opinion ratings can be anonymous, which is really helpful and especially useful for special education feedback we've found, which will come into play for the playground topic. It's really a fascinating piece of software.
And again, even those open-ended ratings you can do in your own language. So you could have a room full of people, some of whom are native English speakers and others aren't, and they can have an equal voice in that surveying.
Great point.
Yeah, thank you both for that. It sounds just, I wholeheartedly approve this. Does any, or I can't approve it, but want to move it forward. If I
Yes, yes, thank you, Melanie.
Yes, Mel.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. So next, I believe we get into the Mr. Catalano and all. I think he's got a lot going on right now.
Good morning. Yes, I have 6. Thank you for having me this morning.
Sure, thanks.
The first item I have is a renewal of our regional wide area network services from the MCIU and our backup internet data pipe. Total of those two things is $40,370. Again, this is a renewal.
Okay. Do you want to just go through those and then we can ask any, is there any that is going to require a lot of conversation, you think, or are these all renewals that we could just do them all and we can ask questions then later?
In my opinion, they're all renewals.
Okay, go ahead and go through all of yours and then we'll ask any questions.
Second item is a renewal of our firewall software and maintenance plan for our firewalls, which includes threat prevention, maintenance, URL filtering, and DNS security.
Okay.
That is a renewal for 1 year for $183,385.82. And I believe the plan is part of our obsolescence plan is to replace those 2 units next year. So this is a 1-year maintenance renewal.
Okay.
The third item on is Remind. Remind allows our teachers and coaches to communicate with parents and students without exchanging any contact information. Total of that renewal is $35,600. The fourth one is our CrowdStrike renewal. That is our $72,000 retainer, which we have with CrowdStrike if there were any type of incident. And then if we don't use that retainer, we do a training exercise or an intrusion detection. We actually did that 2 weeks ago, a red team, blue team exercise, and the results were unbelievable. I've been in IT for over 25 years, and I've never seen anything like this based on the results. It was fantastic. Our levels here of security and infrastructure are very, very impressive. I was blown away. The fifth one is a renewal of our Acronis. Acronis Connect is a system that allows our Apple Macs to print to our copiers and printers, as well as a service contract for support and maintenance on those servers behind the scenes. The software for Acronis is $17,727.10, and the renewal of the services is $8,600. And the final one is Securely Pass. Securely Pass is used at our 3 middle schools for their e-hall pass type of solution, and that renewal is $15,247.50.
Okay, thank you. So any questions from the board?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Me neither.
Okay. Anything from any just community questions? No.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Catalano, for going through all that, and thank you for keeping us safe. And good to hear about we passed well with the CrowdStrike. So are we good to move past these 5, or was it 6? L through Q, I believe it is.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So moving on to our mainline school night renewal or
This is mainline school for the upcoming fall semester to use Lower Marion High School, 8 nights, 35 different rooms. And this is what they currently are using throughout the district. So this is for the upcoming fall semester.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board?
No, thank you.
Nope.
No.
I do have one question. Is that information in board docs? Is that
Information, the contract?
a contract? Is that
I believe it is.
okay? Thank
It
you.
is.
Yeah, it is.
It's letter R on the agenda.
And it's, yeah, it's attachment under public content.
Okay, thank you.
Are we, and is there any community questions? Okay. Are we good to move this forward?
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to MedPro Medical Waste Disposal.
So throughout the district, and this is primarily in support of the nurses' offices, there's a limited amount of medical waste that's generated, and these are items that cannot be placed into the standard waste disposal, trash, or recycling stream. So many districts have arrangements for a company that has the proper waste handling and regulations to deal with the limited amount of medical waste coming out of the nurse's office or any other portion of the schools. So this agreement would have us utilizing MedPro for that disposal, and then they would handle all the regulations required to make sure it's properly transported and disposed.
Thank you, Mr. Lil. Is this a new company? Do I remember you mentioning?
Yes, I thank you for pointing that out. This is a new supplier. We believe it's a better system, and it's also at a lower cost.
Okay, great. Good to know. Any questions from the board?
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Any community questions?
Yeah.
No. Okay, are we good to move this forward?
Yes.
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 Okay, great, thank you. And Mr. Lil, it looks like you're up again for change orders for BCMS and PWES.
Yes, this is something that appears probably on the May or June board agendas every year. And what's about to happen once the students leave next week, two major projects are going to be started, specifically Bala Kinwood's phase 1 of that roof replacement, and then replacement of, I call it the cafetorium wing at Penwyn. Both of those projects have already been approved by the school board and we're already under contract. What does happen is sometimes through unforeseen conditions, there are times where there are change orders that come up during the course of a project, and the next facility and purchasing committee meeting will not take place until August 14th, at which point we're hoping both of these roofs are well towards completion. Just in order to allow the projects to move forward in a timely fashion, in consideration of the fact that there is only monthly meetings and actually no meetings in July. Monday night, there'll be a motion that the board will be asked to approve that reads, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors authorize the superintendent or their designee to approve all or issue all directives, cost adjustments, schedule adjustments, professional services, and fees that the administration deems necessary for the completion of the Bala Kinwood Middle School and Penwyn Elementary School roof replacement projects. This authorization is granted in an amount not to exceed in the aggregate $100,000. Any action taken by the superintendent or their designee in accordance with his authorization shall be deemed to be an action of the board. Such action shall be confirmed by the board at a subsequent meeting. If there's any questions, I'd happy to answer.
Okay, any questions?
Nope.
No.
No, thank you.
Okay, any community questions?
See it.
Okay. Thank you. We're good to move this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So that brings us to the ends of the items for approval. Now, we went over thank you, Mr. Lil, you did the tree removal and pruning presentation. So we only are left with the annual report for PA Act 39, testing for lead in drinking water.
Mr. Pitts will do this presentation again. This is an annual event. As you stated, this is part of an annual update that I'm sure will appear on the screen on the PowerPoint soon. And I see Mr. Pitts is ready to go.
Yep, I'll just start talking to it because we'll go through this pretty quick. I'm sure everyone's seen this. If you've been around for a couple of years, it has not changed very much. Act 39 came out from Harrisburg, requiring districts, next slide, please, to either test for lead in drinking water or to discuss at a public meeting. I'll wait for the next slide to come up. We specifically do both. We actually have been testing for water long before that. We did our annual testing since 2016. We did not do it during the lockdowns, but we are in our 9th year of testing. By testing, we don't have to have a public meeting, but then no one really knows that you've tested. So you kind of have to do both. Next slide, please. Our existing program was developed, again, long before Act 39. We worked with the EPA staff, state DEP, environmental consultants, and we run through a program that doesn't really define how to do your testing. We try to test all point sources over a 3-year cycle, and we're currently on our 3rd cycle. Next slide, please. From the beginning, all points have passed except for 2 failed fountains in the first year. They were old style, probably had lead solder in them. They were switched out, and we have not had a problem since. By law now, all new plumbing fixtures, fountains, valves, backflows, everything that could possibly touch domestic water has to be certified lead-free. We also included filters on all of our water fountains that we put in place, whether they're bottle fillers or just the regular bubblers. Next slide, please. We sample, there's very specific protocols of how we do it. We generally do it in June to meet our occupied standing. We actually dropped off our samples yesterday. And as a part of ongoing checks in the summer, we flush and cycle our water systems. And again, I'd just like to highlight, we have not had any issues from our first year of testing. Whether we want to continue testing going forward, because it's not required as long as we have a public meeting, that can be discussed in the future. Again, we have basically gone through 3 complete cycles without having any problems. So our systems are safe. The water Aqua is giving us is clean. And I think we're actually in pretty good shape. The cost to do this, because we do a lot of the work in-house, is not that dramatic. If we had to outsource the whole process, it would go up more significantly. Right now, we probably spend about $3,000 a year in consultants and supplies. If we had all of it outsourced without our own internal plumbers doing the work, it probably would go up to about $10,000. Next slide, please. Subject to anyone's questions, that's the check the block on Act 39 for this year.
Okay, well, thank you so much for doing this to protect our students and staff. Is there any questions from the board?
No,
I was just curious. Oh, I just had a question. I was curious. When you say that you test the water sources, is that from the actual drinking fountains or from the water that's coming into the system?
So we do not take the water coming in at the point of entry. We generally do there's 2 kinds of tests. There's the static test, which is really to see if our systems are safe. And then there's a flow test, which back checks the water coming in through Aqua. We always do 2 at the kitchen. We do the flow test to check Aqua at the kitchen, 3-bay sink, as well as our fixtures. Everything else is either a fountain, a break room sink where people make coffee, or some other area that's centralized really for food consumption. We do not test individual classrooms.
Got it. So we're testing the water that's coming out of that people are utilizing, not after they've already gone through the pipes as opposed to before.
Correct. Point of use.
Got it. Okay, perfect. And then the filters that are placed on, I assume those filters filter not only just lead, but other items and materials as well.
Yeah, those filters will take care of lead, copper, particulates, I believe PCBs. There may be several other things that are the filter is small enough to catch.
Perfect. And have we outsourced? Sorry, last question is that I see in a lot of the schools we have those new bottle, the water fountains that both have the spout as well as the bottle. Have we upgraded all of our water fountains throughout the district to those, or at least do we have a plan to do so?
No, we do not go completely to bottle filler fountains. Originally, when they first came out, the operations department basically supported each building, providing them with one bottle filler. The buildings will request more bottle fillers, but they come out of their portion of the budgets. Anything that fails, we replace in kind. So if operations get a request that if a fountain is not working and it's not a bottle filler, we will replace it with a non-bottle filler unless the school comes up with a budget to do the upgrade. If it's a bottle filler that fails, then operations will replace the bottle filler.
But every school has at least one bottle filler.
Yes, I would say every school has several at this point.
Perfect. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to ask quickly, because of the federal changes that have been happening with staffing at the EPA, if that is something that potentially has the ability to affect this program ongoing.
Not at all. The EPA has already set their actionable levels. Unless they come up with something different, our program would just continue to roll along regardless of what happens at the federal level. If at the federal level they change the standards and they lower it down, right now, the detection level is, if I get it right, 1/1000th of a milligram per liter. So pretty fine. We can't test below that. So most of our tests come back as less than 1/1000th of a milligram per liter, which technically is zero, but they can't say it's zero because they can't test below that. The actionable level for the EPA is 15/1000ths of a milligram per liter. We are always well below that.
We as a district shoulder the cost of this testing, right? It's not funding.
Right. And Harrisburg would say that it's not a mandate because they have the option of just talking about it versus actually doing the testing. But that's
I think
not
that was more my concern, was that if it were something that were paid for by a governmental source, that was then not being funded.
No.
But if that's not the case, fantastic. Thank you so much for your yearly report.
Thank you. I had one question. I was wondering, when you're talking about I didn't know we had filters. I'm glad to hear that. But how long do those filters last for, say, the bottle water, the fountains versus the bottle fillers? And are they checked regularly, or how does the process work?
They have a sensor on them.
Okay.
So if they are good, and to answer your specific question, it's by how much volume of water has gone through them and how much particulates they pick up. So it's a kind of a two-part measure. So I can't really say how long one would last. A very active one might get changed every couple of months. A less active one might go a year and a half. But yeah, there's a red, green, yellow standard on each one of these filtered water coolers. Green is good. Yellow is, you probably got to start playing on it. When it's red, It's still working, but it's basically reached its expected capacity.
Is this something that a supply is at each school or each building, and that you just change it as you see it there, or is that done centrally?
It's the plumbers taking the cooler apart, taking
Mhm.
one filter off, putting the next filter on.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Thanks for I was just curious about how it worked. Okay. I thank you. Appreciate. Thank you for this report. I appreciate it. I'm not seeing any questions from the community popping up. So if there's no further questions, Denise, I see you came on. Is everything okay to move?
All is good.
Okay, if there's no further questions, thank you everybody for your support in the meeting and for all you did for your presentations to answer our questions. And
Melanie, one last thing. Sorry, just so we know, all the schools should be getting it. It's a playground idea, sharing their playground ideas. So we're trying to get community input from for Hagensdorf. That's going to be putting together their report, and the Zoom is going to be on July 15th, 2025 from 6 to 7. And it should be in the community newsletters and going out to the community. We welcome everyone to attend. Please attend and share your ideas.
Okay. Yes, thanks, Jason, for bringing that to the attention of the community. So if there's not any further, then we are ready to adjourn this meeting. And again, there will be no meeting in July, but our next meeting will be in August 14th, just before the school year starts. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you everybody for being here today.
Have a good
Thank you.
summer. Thanks, everybody.